Hi, I'm Ben from 1 Mile at a Time, and today we're going to be talking about Chase's 524 rule. Most of the major credit card issuers have some rules in place regarding who they'll approve for cards and who they won't, and one of the most well-known restrictions is the 524 rule, and it's also one of the most confusing. First, how do you check your 524 score, if you will? The easiest way is to look at your credit score. There are lots of free credit report services out there, and when you look at it, you will see all of the cards you've opened and closed, and you would just add up the ones in the past 24 months. Make sure when you check that you're also accounting for the cards you may have closed within that period, because parts of your credit score may only show cards that are currently open and wouldn't include cards that have been closed. But the key is that you have not opened more than 5 cards that show on your personal credit report in the past 24 months. What Chase cards are subject to this? Well, nowadays, most Chase cards, including popular Chase Sapphire Preferred, Chase Sapphire Reserve, Ink Business Preferred, all these cards you will not be approved for if you are over that limit. Now, one other point of confusion is what cards count towards that limit. So, obviously I said that if you have 5 cards within the past 24 months, those would count. The catch is that business cards generally do not count. And this means that if you apply for a Citi or an American Express or a Chase business card, those applications would not count as a further one towards that limit. And the reason is that these do not show up on your personal credit report in the same way as personal cards. Is the 524 rule a big deal? I'd say no, not really if you're using credit cards correctly. It is something to be aware of though, and it might, in some cases, impact the order in which you decide to apply for cards. But this is also one of the reasons when you're new to Miles and Points, it's great to get started with something like the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Chase Sapphire Reserve. These are very well-rounded cards with big bonuses, and your best chances of approval are to get them early on. So if you are approved for one of these cards, including Chase cards, this would count as an incremental card towards that limit. This means if you were at 424 before, and then you applied for the Chase Sapphire Preferred, you would be at 524 and not eligible for another Chase card that is subject to this rule. The one exception is Chase's Ink cards. This is a little bit confusing, but Chase's business cards are subject to this rule, which means that you will not be approved if you are at the 524 limit or above. However, when you apply for one, it does not count as a further card towards that limit, and that's because, as I said earlier, business cards typically don't count towards that. So if you're at 424 right now, and you apply for the Ink Business Preferred or another Chase business card, you will still be at 424. Lastly, remember that this is not the only eligibility requirement for getting approved for a credit card. They look at all kinds of other factors. This is just sort of an added rule that on top of having a great credit score and making payments on time and other factors they look at, this is one thing that is fairly concrete and consistent, so it's something you want to be aware of. Hopefully that explains the 524 rule as clearly as possible. You can check out this post for a little bit more on it. I know this is a little bit confusing, and it confuses even people who've been in Miles and Points for a long time, so maybe for some people it's easier in writing to look at it. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Make sure you check out onemileatatime.com for more travel and credit card tips.